The Eisenhower Eagles, 5A Division I semifinalists. The 1992 football season highlights. The 1992 Eagle football season was filled with great accomplishments and many history-making events. Given little chance for success, the Eagles swooped through 21-5A and into the playoffs. Watch the birth of new traditions here at Eisenhower High as we journey through the season with Coach Pat Patterson and his Eagle football team. The 1992 Eisenhower Eagles began what would be the most successful football season in school history with a disappointing loss at Klein Forest. An improved defense and kicking game were offset by the mistakes of a young offensive team. Erasing such plays as this Isaac Turan to Richard Johnson pass completion. Don Williams follows Michael Curvey and Jerry Wharton for a nice gain. Followed by quarterback Isaac Turan on an option run. Hard luck, Ronnie White almost goes the distance. But the run is called back as he steps out of bounds. Travis Marshall and Shane Johnson team up for the first of their team-leading sacks. And Robbie Robinson makes his first interception of the year to give the Eagles the ball down close. Eagle special teams, led here by Josh Gilbert, Chris Caesar, and D. Spiller, pick up Ike's only points of the nights with this safety. Harold Brown's first interception of the year sets up another missed opportunity. Defensive coordinator Clarence Guyton's swarming defense shows its pursuing style in this excellent play. Week number 2 takes the Eagles home to Thorne Stadium to take on the Klein Bearcats. The Eagle defense continues to show improvement. Witness Harold Brown making secondary coach Steve Bruce proud. The Eagles' option offense also showed promise. Here Isaac Turan makes a tough run, followed by Don Williams through the middle of offensive coordinator Richard Carson's offensive line. Isaac Turan gets close to the goal line and then hits Blasco Tips for Eisenhower's first TD of the new season. After falling behind 14 points, Ronnie White follows a great block by Keyron Patterson to the end zone. Isaac Turan finishes the drive with his keep behind fullback Don Williams. This well-executed option to Damon Matthews gets close. And then Blasco Tips' block allows Isaac Turan to turn the corner for his second TD of the game. Great blocks by Jerry Wharton and Mike Curvey help Isaac knot the score at 21. The kickoff team is fired up. Watch Damon Matthews make this spectacular play. Chris Winston makes a big hit on a Bearcat running back. Coach Clarence Guyton and his defensive staff of Steve Bruce, Jeff Ulrey, and Mike Marcantel had the Eagle defense exceptionally well prepared for the Bearcat running game. Defensive tackle Wallace Edmonds makes a fine play in the middle of the defensive line. And once again, it's Travis Marshall with one of his team leading sacks. James Gins makes defensive line coach Mike Marcantel happy with this hustling quarterback sack. Calvin Banks makes a big interception, helping the Eagles salvage the 21-21 tie with the Klein Bearcats. Week number 3 brought the number 1 area-ranked Elsick Rams to Thorne Stadium. This fine trap play was erased by a penalty, but Dominic Aranzetta came on to give the Eagles a 3-point lead on this field goal. Coach Guyton and the defensive staff had the Eagles fired up for Khalif Muhammad as Harold Brown sets the tempo on the kickoff team. Ronnie White follows exceptional blocks by Anton Edwards, Matt Clark, and Kieron Patterson into the end zone for a 10-0 lead early in the first quarter. And later, Isaac Turan to Kieron Patterson for a key third down conversion. But the real story was Eagle defense, with Travis Marshall making the big hit on Khalif Muhammad. Tomas Flores, Chris Caesar, and D. Spiller trapped the Elsick punter deep in his own end to set up one of the Eagle scores. Shane Johnson must have listened to Coach Jeff Ulrey, because he won't be blocked on this play near the Eagles end zone. Chris Winston and friends stuffed the Elsick fullback. Shane and Travis have a quarterback sandwich, and Lamont Jackson finds the football and knows where to take it. Shame on you, Calvin Banks. Greg Nichols stops an Elsick threat with this caused fumble. Free safety Richard Johnson clinches the victory with this 84-yard interception for a TD. Ike wins 26-12. And Coach Guyton takes his Saturday bath a little early as the Eagles celebrate, and you can see their confidence growing. Week number 4, and Ike's Eagles open 21-5A play by visiting Smiley's Eagles. And on the first play, Greg Nichols strips the ball, and Chris Winston recovers to set up an early Ike score. The Eagle offense demonstrates all phases of the freeze option. First, quarterback Isaac Turan follows Anton Edwards for a good gain. Then fullback Don Williams, off Michael Curvey's trap block, bursts through the middle for 15 yards. And finally, it's Isaac Turan to Blasco Tips on the option pass. Again, Eagle special teams shine as D. Spiller blocks and Don J. Bowden recovers the Smiley punt. The punt return team springs Richard Johnson on a 45-yard return as Darren Allier and Harold Brown make key blocks. Once again, it's Don Williams on the trap behind Anton Edwards. Anton shows why he's been selected all Greater Houston offensive guard. Receiver coach Herbert Harris was pleased by this Kieron Patterson catch and run. The punt coverage team also excelled, this time led by Elmer Dearman and Chris Caesar. Clarence Cruz makes his return from injury with a nice run on the option. Again, Anton Edwards and Torrance Brooks make nice blocks. The Eagle defense, led by Isaac Woodard and Harold Brown, snuff out this Smiley option play. Robbie Robinson and Ricky Smith wipe out any hopes of a Smiley comeback by stopping this screen pass to preserve Ike's 20-7 first district win. Week 5 brought on the Aldine Mustangs. Missed first half opportunities, wasted an excellent defensive effort. Calvin Banks recovered an Aldine fumble, and Chris Winston sacks DeMarco McCullum. Ike's special teams again were outstanding as Mike Guzman, Tomas Flores, and Darren Allier swarmed the Aldine punter. Greg Nichols makes a tackle for a loss, and Chris Cruz breaks for a short gain behind Michael Curvey. Then it's Corey Wright from free safety making the play. And in a game to forget, Ike goes 1-1 in district. Week 6 was back at Thorne Stadium with the MacArthur Generals. Clarence Cruz returns to starting quarterback, and the offense exploded to a total of 435 yards. Clarence passing first to Blasco Tips, and later it's Clarence Cruz to Richard Johnson for a 50-yard TD as the Eagles score 19 points in the second half. This Harold Brown caused fumble and Shane Johnson recovery set up Cruz to Tips for 6 more. And Blasco thrills the crowd with a spectacular one-hand grab. Damon Matthew explodes the trap behind Mike Curvey and Matt Clark for 43 yards to the 1-yard line. And then Clarence Cruz scores behind Jason Johnson, Anton Edwards, and Matt Clark. The Big Ike defense, ranked first in 21-5A in defense against the score, dominates the Generals. Clarence Cruz completes another pass to Blasco Tips to get the Eagles out of a hole. And then it's Harold Brown forcing another fumble, followed by a great play on the kickoff team. Harold follows this up with a big hit on Damon Valerie. In their best game yet, the Eagle defense was dominating against the Generals. James Ginn, Isaac Woodard helped make this stop. As the Eagles take a 19-7 win over the MacArthur Generals. Week number 7 was a visit to Turner Stadium and the Kingwood Mustangs. On a wet and slick evening, the Eagle defense was spectacular in the first half. The only Mustang threat is stopped by a D. Spiller caused fumble. Here Josh Gilbert and Harold Brown defend the pass. Again, it's Harold Brown, Chris Winston, and Shane Johnson, along with Travis Marshall, swarming the Kingwood offense. The offense pops Ronnie White outside for 35 yards behind Matt Clark, Mike Kirby, Kieron Patterson, and Torrance Brooks. And then it's Clarence Cruz to the end zone behind Jerry Wharton, Mike Kirby, Anton Edwards, and Don Williams. A swarming Big Ike defense led this play by Chris Winston gives Kingwood nowhere to run. And once again, it's Don Williams springing the trap behind Anton Edwards, Jason Johnson, and Mike Kirby as Ike goes up 14-0. Travis Marshall shows why he became 21-5A Defensive Player of the Year with another quarterback sack. Then it's Josh Gilbert stopping the next Kingwood threat with this interception and return. Eisenhower had 18 interceptions for the year. And this is why they're called special teams. Harold Brown blocks the punt, setting up this Don Williams TD run. Running the score to Ike 20, Kingwood 0. To stifle a Kingwood comeback, Corey Wright and D. Spiller stopped the Kingwood quarterback inches short of the tying TD. This play of the game is worth a second look. Corey Wright stays home and gets an assist from D. And the elated Eagles are flying everywhere. How sweet it is. The difference between winning and losing, a matter of inches. The Eagles run their district record to 3-1 and move into a first place tie with MacArthur and Aldine. And look real close. Even Chris Winston, normally cool and collected, is fired up about those prospects. Week number 8 takes the Eagles back to Thorne Stadium to tackle the North Shore Mustangs. The Mustangs were the victim of an Eagle offensive explosion with over 500 yards of total offense. Ronnie White finds the end zone. Well, almost. Clarence Cruz follows the blocks of Michael Kirby and Jerry Wharton for 47 yards. Harold Brown gets into the act on the kickoff return, following Rod Moss, Darren Allier, and Tomas Flores for 60 yards. This outstanding return sets up Isaac Turan to Torrance Brooks for a TD. Look out. Don Williams is loose again as he follows Anton Edwards' trap block to dash 50 yards for the TD. You've been tabooed. Great blocks by Michael Curvey, Glasgow Tips, Richard Johnson, and Torrance Brooks get Ronnie White close again. Darren Allier, Greg Nichols, and Dee Spiller team up to stop this North Shore run. This clutch third down cruise to Patterson throw and catch sets up the next Eisenhower touchdown. Clarence Cruz keeping on the option behind Don Williams for the touchdown. Perfect execution by offensive linemen Chris Reed, Chris Bell, Darren Allier, and Mike Guzman turn Ronnie White loose again, and this time he goes all the way, 63 yards, accompanied by Richard Smith, of course. Torrance Brooks is sprung by the same group of linemen and goes 49 yards. Isaac Turan closes out the offensive scoring behind Mike Guzman and Tomas Flores and Don Williams' excellent block. Isaac Woodard, Robbie Robinson, Shane Johnson, and Wallace Edmonds make a great defensive stop. And keep your eye on number 30 as Damon Matthews flashes down the field to make a spectacular tackle. Darren Allier, James Ginn, and Rod Moss team up to make this stop close to the North Shore goal line. And then it's Robbie Robertson taking his second interception into the end zone. Final score, Ike Eagles 61, North Shore 10. Week number 9 opens with a playoff spot on the line as the Eagles are ready to go after the Nimitz Cougars. A potent ground attack behind offensive line Jason Johnson, Michael Curvey, Anton Edwards, Matt Clark, and Jerry Wharton demoralizes the Cougars as Don Williams runs wild. After a Cougar turnover, a perfectly executed option puts Clarence Cruz in the end zone. Don Williams carries again on the veer on his way to a career-high rushing day of 168 yards. Ronnie White follows Don Williams and Anton Edwards. And no, it's not a touchdown. Deja vu. It's taboo back to the end zone. This Clarence Cruz to Kieron Patterson TD pass on the last play of the first half sends a down Nimitz team to the locker room. Don Williams drags the defender into the end zone, capping an exceptional game for the all-district fullback. Mark Grabhorn attempts and makes the 40th point. All the thunder did not come from the offense. Witness Chris Winston and Greg Nichols' big hit. Travis Marshall shows why he was chosen on the Houston Chronicle All-Greater Houston team. Isaac Woodard intercepts his third pass in 2 years against Nimitz. And Shane Johnson on the sack of Mike Grind. The bookends have a quarterback sandwich, and Travis recovers the resulting fumble. Big Ike's defense bears down on 4th down to turn Nimitz away. Ike's defense led 21-5A in fewest points allowed. Watch Isaac Woodard play cat and mouse with Nimitz quarterback Mike Grind. Grind audibles, Isaac intercepts. Greg Nichols scatters blockers and makes the tackle for the loss. And D. Spiller makes an interception and walks the tightrope. Rod Moss sacks Grind, and then it's Darren Allier's turn. Week number 10 brings the Humble Wildcats into Thorne Stadium with a district championship on the line for the Eagles. In a game dominated by defense, Clarence Cruz opens the scoring for Ike with this run, tying the game at 7. Late in the 4th quarter, this Don Williams run on a trap behind Michael Curvey, Jason Johnson, and Anton Edwards sets up the Eagles deep in Wildcat territory. 3 plays later, it's Clarence Cruz for the winning TD behind Anton Edwards and Matt Clark. Shane Johnson and D. Spiller make the play defensively for a big loss. Shane Johnson takes the dive on the Humble option game. Player of the game, Shane Johnson, deflects the shovel pass, and Chris Winston intercepts. Robbie Robinson, D. Spiller, and Harold Brown team up to stop the play. Chris Winston and Wayne Wheeler team up to produce a play for negative yards. Chris Winston strips the ball, and Wayne Wheeler makes the recovery to squelch a Humble threat late in the game. Again, it's Shane Johnson on the stop. With the victory over Humble, Eisenhower enters the bi-district championship against 22-5A Westbrook, the number 1 area ranked team and number 5 in the state. Dominic Aranzetta's 33-yard field goal, which wound up being the difference in the game, puts Eisenhower on the board, trailing 3-7. Harold Brown shows why he's all district with this great play on the pass defense. Shane, our left bookend, makes this quarterback sack. Ricky Smith and Lamont Jackson team up to stop the trap. Travis Marshall and Chris Winston team up to cause a fumble, and Richard Johnson's there to make the recovery. Setting up this, Clarence Cruz. Touchdown run behind Jason Johnson and Anton Edwards. Again, special teams show why they've been dominating all year long, as Damon Matthews and Harold Brown lead the charge. Great pressure by Travis Marshall results in this 37-yard Robbie Robinson TD interception return, giving Eisenhower a 17-14 lead that they would never relinquish. At the end of the next series, forced to punt, Torrance Brook returns 75 yards for a TD. Great blocks by Richard Johnson, Cedric Curtis, Don J. Bowden, Darren Allier, Tomas Flores, and D. Spiller. Travis Marshall and Wayne Wheeler make a great stop close to the goal line. After Westbrook has narrowed the lead to 3, Eisenhower starts this 78-yard drive with Clarence Cruz going for 23. Don Williams for 15 more off the trap. And then Clarence Cruz takes it to the end zone from 8 yards out, following a Jerry Wharton block. And again, the lead's at 10. Shane Johnson makes the tackle. Robbie Robinson calls fumble, recovers by Ricky Smith to stop the Westbrook threat. Hard luck Ronnie White's apparent 84-yard touchdown run off the option is called back. Instead of the clinching touchdown, it's Westbrook's ball. But the defense is up to the challenge, with Travis Marshall making another of his game-winning sacks. Can Eisenhower stop the screen pass? You bet. Wayne Wheeler intercepts and clinches the Eisenhower victory in the bi-district championship. The Eagles go wild celebrating Eisenhower's first ever playoff victory. Big Ike advances to the regional round of Division I playoffs to face Clear Lake. Coaches and fans sing Hail to Eisenhower with renewed fervor. Celebrating this history-making game, no one wants to leave the stadium as the cheers continue. Looking forward to next week's game against the Clear Lake Falcons of 24-5A. The Eagles travel to Mercer Stadium in Sugar Land. Clear Lake's opening drive is stopped by Harold Brown, calls fumble, setting up this Ronnie White touchdown run. It's a cruise missile to Torrance Brooks for a 32-yard touchdown reception. The special teams fever is spreading as sophomore Kelton McCann teams up with Damon Matthews to make the stop. The great defensive play continues as Chris Winston and the entire front seven stops the Falcons running back. Damon Matthews takes this pitch out into the end zone behind great blocks by Don Williams and Torrance Brooks as the Eagles score on their third straight possession. The Big Ike defense is absolutely dominating as Travis Marshall makes the sack. Ronnie White sets up a Clarence Cruz touchdown with this great run on the tailback trap. And then it's Clarence Cruz to Blasco Tips. 6 points. See ya. Edmund Wallace knifes through to stop the Clear Lake back in the backfield. Then it's Travis Marshall calls fumble and Wallace Edmund recovering. Harold Brown's interception sets up a Dominic Aranzetta field goal. As the Ike special teams continue their outstanding play. Isaac Duran on the kickoff team with a solo tackle. Lamont Jackson, playing left defensive end, makes the quarterback sack. LeCedric Curtis makes the catch for a first down. Setting up this Clarence Cruz TD run following a LeCedric Curtis block. Isaac Turan concludes the scoring with his 25-yard TD run behind Lloyd Mason, Tomas Flores, Terrell Lewis, and Velasco Tips. The Eagles' 45-14 win over Clear Lake sets up the rematch in the Dome with the Elsick Rams. Eagles in the Dome comes true. And Ronnie White rips off 15 yards to the left. And then it's Ronnie White back to the right. Following blocks by Michael Curvey, Blasco Tips, Torrance Brooks, and Richard Johnson at the goal line to put the game tied 7-7 early in the first quarter. This Torrance Brooks catch puts the Eagles in scoring position one more time. Then in the third quarter, Don Williams sets up a Clarence Cruz TD by busting the trap up the middle for 55 yards. And then it's Clarence Cruz over the right side, following blocks by Anton Edwards and Matt Clark into the end zone. Dominic Aranzetta comes on, and the point is true, and the Eagles lead. More great special teams play as Don J. Bowden, Harold Brown, Damon Matthews make the play on the punt team. Again, the bookends collapse on the quarterback for another sack. Great defense on the option results in a D. Spiller fumble recovery. Watch this great hustling effort by the Eagle defense as Ricky Smith finally corrals Khalif Muhammad. D. Spiller stops the reverse on this key third down play. Bringing up fourth down where Lamont Jackson steps up and sacks the quarterback to kill an LSIG drive. Travis Marshall gets upfield and wipes out the reverse for a big loss. Chris Winston finds Khalif Muhammad and turns the ball over with a big hit. After Eisenhower misses the scoring opportunity, D. Spiller to the rescue with a 24-yard touchdown off the interception to give Eisenhower the lead they won't relinquish. Again, it's Travis Marshall, D. Spiller, Chris Winston locking away the victory for the Eisenhower Eagles. Dominic Aranzetta hits the field goal to give the Eagles an 8-point lead. And the Eagles defeat the Rams 24-16 for the quarterfinal championship. The Eagles then move to the semifinals against the Converse Judson Rockets at Memorial Stadium, Austin, Texas, as the Eagles celebrate the biggest win in school history, moving on for the first time ever to the state semifinals. The road to the Astrodome was tough, but the Eagles prevailed. Many doubted, but never the Eagle players. Eagle offense averaged 310 yards per game, along with a point total of 25 points per game. The defense averaged only 244 yards per game and only 14 points per game. Important stat by the defense was a 34 turnover total, including 16 interceptions and 18 fumble recoveries. The state semifinals were played in Austin, Texas at the University of Texas Memorial Stadium. Starting out on a positive note, the Eagles scored on their first possession, with Clarence Cruz going in from 28 yards out to stake the Eagles to a 7-0 lead after the Dominic Aranzetta extra point. Special teams continued to excel as the kickoff return team gives the Eagles fine field position on this Torrance Brooks return. Don Williams is running tough across the University of Texas turf. On a day when things didn't go as planned for the Eagles. The Eagles have nothing to be ashamed of. Down by 24 at one time, the team rallied back to 11, never giving up, eventually bowing 20-38 to state champion Judson Rockets. The Eagles represented their school well with the same class shown after their victories. It's good to look back upon past accomplishments. New ground was broken each week throughout this year. Major milestones included the first 21 5A championship, 13 all-district players, the first 3 playoff wins in school history. The 10 wins were the most ever in the history of the school, and most important, a new respect for Eisenhower football. The players and coaches can take pride in the excitement they generated in the Eisenhower community. The team really demonstrated with hard work and a belief in yourself, you can accomplish your dreams. Alumni and present students look at Eisenhower High with a renewed respect and pride. because if you look close, you can see a tradition starting, one that demonstrates a can-do attitude. This football team was constantly asked one question: when? And the answer was always resoundingly 92. They answered on the football field as well. Congratulations, 1992 Eagle football team. It's been a great season.